Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hey, yeah, I think I'm here.
That's Vanessa over there.
I'm definitely here.
That makes me Kelly. Vanessa, you're a girl.
Most of the time, yeah.
And as such, I'm guessing not a fan of public restrooms.
Not a huge fan, though the ones in Japan are very nice.
Sure. I have a job that requires me to be driving a lot, and I'm out all the time. And so if you have to use a bathroom, you're generally at the whim of what is available.
Yes.
And with COVID and all of that stuff going on, your your various shops that would let you use the restroom, those have gone down. And so you kind of pick and choose. Like if I'm in, say, downtown Seattle or Greenwood or something, I'm going to try to avoid any public bathrooms down there. Or if I do use them, I use the technique, which is, I call the Iron Cross. I'm sure
Oh my God.
you can understand. But generally in like Bellevue, which is kind of a hoity-toity area,
Yeah.
their park restrooms are well kept and all that. And I found myself in need.
Oh, sure.
So
Oh, dear.
I go to the restroom. It is one stall and one urinal, and it's empty. I take the stall. I proceed to do my business, and
Sure.
right after I start, I hear the door open. I'm like, okay, and a person, a guy, I will assume,
Uh-huh.
I can hear him shuffle in and then stand next to the urinal, although I don't see anything because I'm in a stall.
Okay.
And then I hear him start whispering.
Oh, no. Oh, my
I
God.
can't make out what he's saying, but he's whispering.
Oh, my
And
God.
I'm like, what's this? What's going on here? And then I hear over a phone a woman answering him.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, what is going on here? It stops whatever bathroom momentum I had going, and I thought, all right, I'm done with this, right? So I quickly clean myself up, button my pants, open the door, empty.
What?
The bathroom is empty.
Oh, my God. What?
Yes. So now I'm very freaked out. I'm literally, my eyes immediately go to like the ceiling. I'm like,
Yeah.
did he crawl up there? I did not hear him leave. I did not hear anything, but I clearly heard somebody whispering next to me.
Oh, my
in the
God. That's
bathroom.
so creepy.
Well, may have to find out what bathroom this is and go visit that.
Oh, I think maybe I'll never visit that bathroom again.
Haunted, but in polite bathroom.
What a jerk. This
You come
ghost
in
is
while-
the worst.
There's only one person in the stall. You don't wait to haunt it until there's no one there. You got to go in when somebody's awkwardly trying to have a alone
A
moment.
moment.
And that's when you do your ghost business. That's pretty messed up.
And I kind of truncated this whole story. So it sounds like he started whispering and I was just like out of there. When I realized he was going to just continue doing this is when I decided, okay, I'm done with this. So this was, not 10 seconds of whispering. This was 40 seconds of whispering.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, this is clearly going to be how he conducts his business and I want no part of it. Nobody in there.
Oh my God. The only thing I can think of is there a stall? Like, is there a thing on the opposite side that maybe the audio was echoing into? Because sometimes there's
Yeah.
like weird acoustics.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. Sure. I mean, there is a bathroom on the other side of it, but and between that bathroom is the maintenance room.
I
So
wonder.
perhaps, but it was clearly whispering and a actual voice on a phone.
That's so weird.
The whispering part was
Why would you?
very unsettling.
Why? I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
people on the phone in the restroom before, and they just talk normal sauce.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want people to know they're in the bathroom sometimes, so they're
Yes.
making sure they're not.
That's why I flush repeatedly when I hear them talk.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because and a voice on a phone's not going to travel through walls or
I mean,
areas. It
things
might,
can get
when you're in
bouncy.
that small kind of, I'm assuming this was like one of those park restrooms.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room in those, and they're solid.
Yeah, it was
So,
solid concrete, so it
Weird.
was super uncomfortable.
Man, you'll have to tell me now that I live near Bellevue which one it is so I can avoid it. Although,
see, I'm thinking the opposite. Which one is
You
it? I'm
really
going to
wanna
check
go.
that out.
Oh my gosh.
But besides being interrupted by ghostly visitors,
Mm.
I did watch on Netflix. Netflix. You guys remember? I guess a couple years ago now already. The Korean zombie period piece called
Oh,
Kingdom that
yeah,
I was
yeah.
loving so
Mhm.
much.
Oh, sure.
There is another singular movie now called Kingdom Aeons.
Oh.
And I have to say, I was very pleased to see more of this. I really love this world that they've set up. So
You know what's
Ooh.
annoying about having so many options and so many different streaming? I started watching that, maybe watched an hour of one of the episodes, and then completely forgot about it
Oh.
because some other thing popped up somewhere. I got to go back, man. That was good.
yeah, there's
Mhm.
2 full seasons of that. So
Wow.
Mm.
I really liked it. So I can recommend this as well.
Very cool. Well, I've been digging through TV archives and have come across a show that I never saw that has cool poster art, Wayward Pines.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really
I
behind it.
love the books.
Oh.
Blake Crouch, I believe is how you say his last name, because I came across him sometime on Amazon or something and started reading those.
Mm.
Fantastic.
Mm.
It's not a great, but a good adaptation, but I like what they did for the show. I thought that was a neat show.
Yeah, and I'm about halfway through, and it's been giving me a lot of The Prisoner vibes, and I'm sure
Yes.
it's going to go in, a direction that I don't expect. But at this point, yeah, it's fun. It's weird because I think it's a network TV
Mhm. Yeah, it was.
project, so I feel like there's always this weird little cap, like a cap of we're not going to get as crazy as we could because of
True.
that.
There's some real weird shit that happens in the books that is not in there.
But it's definitely been enjoyable. So.
I remember this being compared favorably to Twin Peaks. Is that something you feel like?
I think that Twin Peaks has a distancing, like there's this odd like wall between all the characters talking to each other and the characters in the audience where you never fully feel like you're engaging or a part of it, but the relationships are really interesting versus this I feel like they're in your space but things are weird and no
Yeah.
one's really explaining it. So it doesn't have that strange like otherness quality. It just has a frustration of I know how the world is supposed to work and it's not working that way.
Yeah. So continuing with my Portland Horror Film Festival films, talk about another one that I really liked. It's an interesting adaptation of The Turn of the Screw, where the whole thing was done as the main character, done as a stage play, but not just the stage play presented. It was the main character had died or disappeared, so they were bringing in a new lady the night before they were going to open. So they're doing a super elaborate dress rehearsal before the show opens the next day. You can't quite. It does a really good job of doing. Is this the play, or is there actually something really messed up going on in the theater itself that is influencing the way the play unfolds? Like one point the lady walks to the front of the stage and says, "What the fuck?" So it's like, obviously that's not from the original, but it is really well acted. I think I don't remember if it's British or Australian presentation. I think it's Australian. It was really good. I haven't seen all of the movies they have. I think I still haven't seen 2 or 3 of them, but of the ones I watched, I think this is my favorite.
I saw that was getting some really good buzz, but I didn't know anything about it. That sounds like a neat way to approach this story.
Yeah. I think it's relatively talented filmmakers who had not a lot of budget and pulled off something really interesting.
Oh, very cool.
Because, hey, it could have been last week's episode. It was one location movie.
Right. That's our buddies Brian and Gwen doing the
Yeah.
Portland Horror Film Festival.
Yes.
They also do the Lovecraft Film Festival, which we hope is going to be going as
Cross
planned.
fingers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
always the best thing to do every year. Also on Netflix, I started watching this animated series called Godzilla Singular Point.
Oh, I remember seeing a trailer for it, but did not check it out.
I'm 2 episodes in. No Godzilla yet.
Oh.
However, Rodan has been the
Oh.
star so far of the first 2 episodes, and I'm kind of enjoying it. It's very anime looking, which is not my favorite style of animation,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but I am a Godzilla fan, so
Yeah.
I will watch whatever
Yeah.
comes out.
Anime is
Assume.
so weird for me because I love Japanese films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anime, I've watched with very few exceptions, I've watched like some of the best, and there's something in the way they tell stories that just doesn't grab me, which is weird because live action Japanese movies definitely do. So it's very bizarre. Like one of the ones that's considered like the greatest ever, and I watch it going, maybe this just isn't my thing.
Yeah. I mean, I really dig them, but for me, a lot of them are hit and miss, or hit or miss. Like either they're the most amazing thing I've ever seen ever, and I'm just like, fuck, that's beautiful, and the story's different, but still so like amazingly well told, or it's like fucking boobs everywhere. You know, it's like just the most sleazy shit you've ever seen.
The problems for me that I run into, and hey, any listeners want to suggest stuff to watch, I'm still open. I still want to like, because not liking a whole genre of style film is weird. But they seem to be one of two things. Way too little story told over a really long time, or way too much story just crammed into, like, maybe part of it comes from working at Suncoast and having to have Dragon Ball Z open and play.
Sure.
Oh gosh.
Dragon Ball Z was hugely popular, but nothing happens in that show. It's like, I am more powerful than you. No, you're not. I am more powerful than you. And that's every single episode runs that way.
Huh.
It's just like, oh.
Yeah. And I think the anime TV, like, it sounds like there are some really solid series out there, and it sounds like there's some garbage
Oh, yeah, I'm
and,
sure
you
there has
know,
to be.
kid
I
stuff.
haven't watched that many.
And
Yeah.
I've found that I enjoy the feature animated films much more
Yes.
than I enjoy the
The
serialized
television.
television stuff. Like
Yeah.
I love Totoro and Akira.
Yeah.
Akira especially.
Oh,
is so
Akira is
God.
gorgeous.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Howl's
Ghost in the
Moving
Shell.
Castle. I've never
Ghost in the
seen Ghost
Shell.
in the Shell.
Oh,
I
it's
like
really
that
good.
one too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are two I liked. Or Fist of the North Star is pretty good.
Mhm.
And Netflix has done now a couple of animated series with Godzilla, and I did not like the last one they did.
Oh.
But
With
like I
Godzilla
said,
or just
yeah, with Godzilla. Like I said, I'll just keep watching.
Yeah.
If Godzilla will digest.
Yes.
Please send all Godzilla materials to Kelly Young at. Well, I saw I think it was on Netflix, a horror film. Maybe it was on Amazon. Gaia.
All right.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious about this one.
It was interesting. Eric, did you see it?
No.
Okay. I mean, I think there's a genre popping up currently that's really interesting, like plant horror,
Sure.
where a lot of people are getting insular about like the creepiness and the awfulness of nature that we kind of ignore because we're like, the flowers are pretty and the trees make everything smell good, and then you get really down in the dirt and you're like, fuck, it is mayhem. And that's kind of where this film lives. It's not a great film. I think the idea is what it's really striving off of, which is this kind of being in the woods, this old creature that is part of plant life and is maybe God somehow.
Right. It's Mother Nature. or
Yeah,
something,
Mother
right?
Nature. Yeah, I think that's what they even call it at one point.
Well, I'm not getting from you I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there needs to be more than just style in a film, and this was so much style, and the character motivations felt really shit to me.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Oh.
like there's, of course, like there is a person who is not part of this society who wanders into a strange and crazy universe. she kind of adapts too quickly or like wants in on certain things and then doesn't and then does and then like there's just too much it's just a shittily written character.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the idea is great and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful film. But so I honestly cannot tell you guys whether or not you'd like it. But for me, it was just like, I want to see something else.
Oh, that'll happen.
Mhm.
Well, I completed the duo of the Scanner Cop movies
All right.
with Scanner Cop 2,
Ooh,
The Showdown.
shit. All right.
Another really fun film. Very Highlander. It's actually a very Highlander style story where you've got the same cop guy from the first movie who has apparently figured out how to use it in a way that makes him the most powerful scanner in the world.
Ooh.
But the other scanner, played by Patrick Kilpatrick,
Oh.
in what might be one of his juiciest scene-chewing roles ever, plays a scanner who figures out that he can kind of vamp on other scanners and pull their power and increase his.
Oh.
So it's a totally different take on the concept of scanners. And it's a lot of fun. The two guys are a lot of fun. It's very Highlander Terminator sort of thing. And it just doesn't do much more than that, but it doesn't need to. Although I will say, if you find the scanner noise annoying, avoid this film because it is omnipresent, man. It's just every other scene is stop it. But plenty of fun gore. Like I said, Patrick Kilpatrick makes the movie. He is just so Terminator fun and really well done. Well worth seeing. I mean, this duo might be the, like you said, I forgot which film you'd mentioned, but like the best quality films I've gotten from Vinegar Syndrome, as far as I could see somebody else putting these boxes out. Because a lot of Vinegar Syndrome movies, you go, yeah, they're the only guys that could have put this one out successfully.
Completely. So this came in a 2-set.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Maybe
Double box set of
I'll check it out.
Blu-ray and the 4K version. So this is their second or third 4K release.
Wow.
Tons of extra features or no?
Some, yeah, good amount, enough, but yeah, well, we're seeing.
Well, Crypticon's coming up, so maybe I'll see if I can. I imagine
Oh.
Vinegar Syndrome will be there.
Yeah, they're scheduled to be there. Yeah, supposed to have a
See if
booth.
I can pick that up.
Heck yeah.
Well, how about we take a little break, guys, and then we come back and talk about invasion movies.
Good.
The alien invasion has begun, and it's up to the 5 of us to stop them. Animorphs, Transformers. The evil Visser 3 is leader of the Yerks.
He can morph from evil Azulite
To Inferno Creature
with grasping claws.
and firing jaws. But we can change too, into any animal we touch. And when Heroic Axe changes into a scorpion, Visser 3 is gonna get stung.
To save the human race, we pounce like animals.
Make the change. Animorphs.
Each sold separately.
And we're back. Vanessa, this was your topic.
Yeah. I'm so excited because I love invasion movies. So bring it on. Wreck the World. Oh, so exciting. And this time, I had such a huge list of potentials to talk about. And my heart just really wanted to re-explore one of my very favorite films,
Yes.
which is Cloverfield from 2008.
Quiet. He's coming. He's here. Let's go.
What is this for? It's for Rob. Say something to him before he leaves.
Rob's awesome. I'm gonna miss it. Rob, have fun in Japan.
You owe me $11.
How are you gonna survive without Rob? He's like your main dude.
Yeah, no. Hey, how am I gonna survive without you?
I don't know, I'm like your main dude.
What was that noise?
He sounded like an animal.
Yeah, just relax. Everything.
Phone
calls are pouring into the New York One newsroom as a thunderous roaring sound.
Can you see something from the roof? What animal sounds like that? Shaking everywhere, man. It's like tremors.
Looks like you should have left town a little bit earlier.
It's gonna be the best night ever.
Also, Kelly's favorite movie. No, wait.
I was going to say, I have a feeling we might not all be on the same page, the Cloverfield page.
That's fine.
That's fine. This I think was a moment in which I started to really solidify in my brain that I love disaster films. And I don't know if I had a way of like phrasing that before, but once I saw this movie, which I saw at Cinerama, downtown Seattle.
Oh my.
So really cool experience of it. This film, whether or not Kelly likes it, has a Rotten Tomato score of 78% with critics and 68% audience. The budget was, what do you guys think the budget for something like this should be? Or
50 million.
Okay, 50. What do you think?
30.
25.
Wow.
25 million. I am really shocked, even though it was a little while ago now. 25 million. But it brought in 174.4 million. So definitely made its money back. The director is Matt Reeves, who initially did a lot of TV stuff like Homicide, Life on the Streets, and Felicity. Then did this and then Cloverfield, and managed to do Let Me In, the 2010 remake.
Oh.
He did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in 2014, War of the Planet of the Apes in 2017, and is doing The Batman coming out soon. So yeah, we've recently talked about him, I think, because we were talking about Planet of the Apes stuff a little bit. Did we touch on him?
I don't think we really touched on Matt Reeves, but I
Okay.
am a fan of him.
Yeah. Hopefully it just goes out and does better and better stuff. He also produced projects like Tales from the Loop. So, which I don't love, but I like the actual art. So I think it's a cool project to have explored. This was written by Drew Goddard, who was kind of an old Joss Whedon writer. So he did 5 episodes of Buffy, 5 episodes of Angel, 5 episodes of Alias, then did Cloverfield, 9 episodes of Lost, then Cabin in the Woods. He's also responsible for World War Z, unfortunately, The Martian, but he created the Netflix Daredevil series and wrote on all of it. Coming up, he's got something called Sinister Six and Robopocalypse.
Really? They're doing the Sinister Six.
Sinister Six is interesting, but so
Yeah.
is Robopocalypse. I knew that. I think that's a Spielberg project. I read that book and really enjoyed it.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Except it is a World War Z type book.
Oh, no.
And if Drew Goddard is responsible for the World War Z movie,
I
then
know.
we
I know.
have a lot to look forward to be disappointed by.
My heart was broken. It would have been so easy to make that movie. Oh my God. It's fun, whatever. So I could make that movie right now. Get me 10 people. Anyway. So this was produced, of course, by J.J. Abrams, riding high from What About Brian and 6 Degrees.
Sure.
And then, of course, he was doing Lost before, during, and after this. And this was followed up with Star Trek and a couple other big ass things that we all
kinds
are aware
of
of.
geek world things.
Geek apocalypse. This is starring, I would say almost the main character in this is T.J. Miller, who plays HUD. He's been in 77 things, including How to Train Your Dragon. He's the voice of Tough Nut, and he's been that in any version of this. Like, it's half his credits are Tough Nut from How to Train Your Dragon, the animation, the video game, anything. The podcast.
He loves a tough nut.
I really
His
felt like
Tough Nut.
Yeah, I felt like the name. I was like, this is this has got to mean something. You might also recognize him from Our Idiot Brother, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, Transformers, Age of Extinction, Deadpool is the big one as Weasel. And he does a lot of voice work as well. But most recently, Underwater as Paul Abel. The interesting thing about TJ Miller, this was his first ever movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was the birth of TJ. Also in this movie,
his mom might disagree with that, but all right.
He's a stand-up comedian first,
yeah,
right?
I think he must have been doing other stuff,
Right. Okay.
but nothing like in front of a camera.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't have any TV or film credits before this. And then you also have a lot of other people who are not really well known. The other lead character who you see the most on screen, Rob, who's the one who's running around and kind of making the decisions and leading the crew across the city, is played by Michael Stahl David. And he's been in like Chambers, The Deuce, Narcos, and just a lot of walk-on TV roles. Like he's only done real stuff after this movie. Mike Vogel, who plays his brother, Jason, Rob's brother, he was in Sex Life, Fantasy Island, Under the Dome, and a bunch of episodes of that. And some stuff before Cloverfield, like Wuthering Heights on TV, the TV version, Grounded for Life, and Sisters of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. So a lot of these people before this film really weren't that big. The only exception being Lizzie Kaplan, who plays character Marlena as part of the group that's wandering around. You would know her from starting out in Freaks and Geeks. She was in a couple of small things here and there, but Mean Girls was really her big thing, where she played Janice, the kind of loser friend. After Cloverfield, she wanted to do a little bit of True Blood. She starred in Party Down, which is pretty great. Now You See Me 2. Masters of Sex, she was in 46 episodes of. Maybe you guys would recognize her, though, best from Castle Rock as Annie Wilkes in season 2.
All right.
Yeah. So the story, gosh, it's not a lot written down here.
Well, yeah. Let's see. Point A, point B. Hey, story.
So the story, we start off with this kind of color bars, government warning logo. This is exclusively, government eyes only, secret, blah, blah, blah. And then cuts to this home video of Rob, who is this young guy living in New York. He wakes up next to this beautiful girl named Beth. He's looking around outside of this really high-rise apartment, looking over the Central Park. It's 6 a.m. The sun is rising. It's just gorgeous. And they start talking and cuddling and talk about going to Coney Island together. And she says she's never been. So you're like, oh, okay, they're going to go to Coney Island. Cuts to somebody's recorded over this tape. So we see a couple who are preparing for a party. It's Rob's brother, Jason, and his girlfriend, Lily, are trying to pick up some stuff like party supplies and food and whatever. They are putting together a party for Rob, who is going off to Japan. He got this big, exciting job in Japan. Jason does not want to make this movie at all. He basically, Jason just doesn't want the responsibility. He's like, I want to fucking drink tonight. I don't want to hold this goddamn camera. So we cut to stop the video, start the video. So there's a lot of this through the whole film. I'm sure everyone who's listening to this has seen Cloverfield, but whatever. Let's pretend you haven't. At the party, he finds Hud, their mutual friend, and hands him the camera and says, hey, dude, Lily wants you to record this whole party and document it, okay? Do a wedding video kind of thing. And Hud's like, dude, I don't know how to work a camera. He's like, no, it's so easy. You just press record and stop. And Hud's like, okay. And then you see him slowly get really into it. He's like, oh, this is kind of fun. And Jason's like, cool, bye. So you start to get these really fun moments of somebody will come into the party, a couple comes in, and Hud is like, oh, hey, how's it going? And just shoves the camera in the guy's face. And you just get really close and then far away. And the guy's eyes just open up really big, whoa, what is happening? So there's a lot of fun little uses of what's happening with this character here. As the party gets underway, we find out that HUD has a huge crush on a girl named Marlena who showed up. You know this because while he's getting Lily's goodbye testimonial to Rob, he zooms in past her right during like a heartwarming moment, zooms in right into Marlena and like sitting at like a stool and just looking at her. And then he walks off and he's like, "Hey, Marlena, how's it going?" Like, oh my God, this is so good. Now, you're going to see the entire film, of course, through HUD's viewpoint. And he's definitely very ADD. He's a person who needs to talk constantly. He's not good with silence. And you definitely get that through this. So a lot of people who've seen this movie hate it because of this character. I don't mind it at all. I think it's really interesting to see, to have that lens be given to this character. I feel like it justifies a lot of things for me and it makes certain things work and it gives it humor that it wouldn't have otherwise have. So for me, I'm fine with it. Also, something that a lot of people have bitched about with this movie, this party, this initial setup party where people are hanging out, people are like fucking hipsters, dumb fucking hipster movie. And I remember thinking, I guess maybe that does suck, huh? And I was rewatching it. I was like, they're just normal people.
I didn't get hipster vibe.
No, they're just young working professionals who are of roughly the same age sitting at a party and drinking. There's like no hipstering really in there. I mean, not as we know it today. No one's got like a succulent garden growing in the back.
Avocado toast? Avocado toast.
Absolutely. No avocados to be seen. So during the party, things get a little bit strange. Beth shows up with another guy. Rob is really awkward and strange about it. Beth and Rob get into an argument in the fire escape or in the hallway. And then Rob goes to sulk on a fire escape and Beth takes off. So the footage we were getting earlier on, obviously something happened between a month ago when we saw them cuddling in bed and going to Coney Island. And now at this party, not doing so well together. So Rob is sitting on the fire escape and his brother Jason and HUD go out there. Of course, we know this because everything that we see is through HUD's perspective. And tell him, dude, like, you don't deserve this girl. You fucked up. You need to go find her because you're an idiot. Like, this girl is way above your league. And he's like, yeah, but, I'm going to Japan. And so basically you find out that he slept with her and stopped talking to her, ghosted her because he's going to Japan. So he didn't want to form a relationship. But it's somebody he has had a crush on for a very long time. So they're encouraging him to go after her. In that exact moment, a huge crash occurs and the entire fire escape shakes. And off in the distance, you kind of see, I'm trying to remember what you see in the first time. I think it's just some smoke. And so they run inside, look at the news, and an oil tanker has fallen over and is, I think, exploded. And they're like, shit, oh my God, what's happening? And so they run up to the roof and they're like, we're really close to there. Let's see what this looks like. Get up to the roof. Giant fireball, building explodes, fireball is going whizzing past them, and you instantly feel like ants. You just immediately feel like these teeny tiny creatures watching something so big in scale and so epic that you're just like, fuck, get these people out of here. They're not going to live through this. So everybody runs out to the street, and that's when we start the story of a group of young working professionals against Cloverfield. The monster. I call him Cloverfield because the special effects guys and the behind the scenes footage called him Clover. So yeah, I'm just going to go with it. I'm sure that's not actually a good way of addressing it, but giant monster is running around the city. They are very close to it. They try to escape. At one point, they try to cross the Brooklyn Bridge, but we don't really know what's going on with the creature. We know he's around the city, but obviously he's huge and moving quickly. So at one point, he can be over there and then he's here. So all of a sudden, his tail whips out and smashes the Brooklyn Bridge, and everybody has to run and escape and not die. Now, things get a little bit complicated because Rob gets a call from Beth, who is not happy. She is trapped in her apartment. She's scared. And it sounds like she may probably die unless they go and rescue her. So, problem is, she is where the giant monster is. So they are running the opposite direction from everybody else. They're running the same direction as the military. So you get a lot of these kind of shots of them like having little arguments walking down the street, like, where the fuck are we? Why are we going? Like, oh, and all of a sudden, like a tank will roll through, like shooting like giant missiles, and the creature screams past and goes past. And you're like, oh, okay. What? Damn. All right. And it's just a lot of moments of total insanity and quiet planning, I guess, planning in small relationship stuff. This film has a lot of interesting creatures. You have the main big creature, you have a lot of little insecty guys, a lot of fun, I don't know, just a lot of fun little vignettes of man versus monster. You kind of know it's probably not going to end well for most of them, and it doesn't. But I love the perspective. I think there's just something so interesting and unique. It takes the idea of Godzilla and makes it feel relatable, like really relatable, in a way that I personally hadn't felt until then. So, also, there's a love story in there, so that's exciting. Trivia. There is a lot of trivia about this film.
Well, it's spawned at least 2 films.
Yeah,
a bunch more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna try to stick to only the most interesting stuff, but I apologize if it's I'm gonna try not to say everything on here. So
Are you gonna say something and then Kelly and I will go interesting or not interesting?
yes, vote me on or off this island, known as Interesting Trivia 101. So the movie came about because J.J. Abrams went to Japan with his son while promoting Mission Impossible 3. They saw that Godzilla, like stuffed animals and toys, were in pretty much every single store still, even though it had been a little while since the most recent film had come out. And he thought, wouldn't it be cool if America had its own version of Godzilla? Can't say he succeeded, but that was the intention. Before the film came out, Paramount created a sort of viral marketing campaign to promote the film, which included a lot of tie-ins. They created the teaser with footage that was exclusively shot for it. The film didn't have a title at that point, only said on it, I think that you guys might remember this. It was like the Statue of Liberty head is like chucked down the street and lands, and it just says release date January 18th, 2008. So people got really, really fucking excited. The studio was trying to keep it secret from the online community, who are very obsessive. And it was very difficult to keep as much of it under wraps as they did. However, they did like to plant Easter eggs. So each of the main characters had their own MySpace pages. I think this was right around when Facebook started. So it was early. So MySpace would have been the thing. It mostly focused on a fictional drink called Slusho and a fictional company called Tagurato. So there were websites kind of on these 2 different entities. There were puzzle websites with Lovecraftian elements, such as Ethan Haas was right. And some of those, the filmmakers say, were part of it, and some they basically say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it was us. It probably wasn't us, huh? So it's probably all from the same people, but it's hard to say. On the official site, God, 2008. On the official site, if you left it open for 6 minutes, a monster's roar could be heard. It also had a number that, when texted from a mobile phone, provided a ringtone for the roar and a wallpaper of decimated Manhattan. It turned out to be the Paramount's actual number, and the people who texted it initially later got spammed with material for Iron Man, Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and Kung Fu Panda. The drink Slusho had already appeared in Abrams' TV series Alias. It had websites and a Japanese phone number that worked, but only played a recorded messages back at people. Building bearing the logo can be seen in a TV spot for the 2009 Star Trek film, and Uhura orders a Slusho in the bar scene. So, yeah, this is one of those, like, I'm a director, I'm putting this in everything I do. Fans who signed up on the Slusho site got an image of a deep sea creature heading towards Manhattan. So you guys might have seen that on the YouTube, like little extra content. A cup of slusho briefly appears in the Cloverfield paradox. Also appears in Fringe and Heroes. So it's just
It'd be
everywhere.
nice if it like a slightly better name for your drink that you're gonna splatter everywhere.
I know. I think it's trying to be
Slusho.
like slushies or
Yeah.
freeze, whatever. The logo definitely looks like it's ripping something else off. The only time it actually appears in Cloverfield is on Jason's t-shirt, which has a slusho drink on the front. By the way, all of this stuff was not really a clue to anything, did not actually give you more story. All it was creating a meta story, which the creators of the film said they wanted an extra experience for people to have that was an exciting new aspect of storytelling, but did not give you clues about what was going on with Cloverfield. So
I think I would go back to Blair Witch for maybe a little more solid accomplishment on generating internet.
Yeah,
excitement.
they were really trying to do that. That was 100% like their campaign was trying to be Blair Witch. Due to this campaign and people hearing about it ahead of time, they had to keep changing the name of the movie because names changed between things like Slusho and Cheese, the Manhattan Project. At one point, they considered calling it Gray Shot because that's the name of the archway the last two people who are in the movie are taking shelter under. But they couldn't because people had already somehow associated it with Cloverfield. So they just landed on it. They were like, well, people are assuming that's what it's going to be called. So we're going to go with that. So the name Cloverfield actually comes from an exit that Abrams used to take for his office. So that's where you got the idea from. They saved a lot on their budget by hiring unknown actors. The producers and director participated in the film a lot as like off-screen voices yelling, "Oh my God, look over there." So that helped. When they auditioned actors for the film, they actually gave them scripts from Alias and Lost just so they could try to keep it as secret as humanly possible. Some people, I can't remember which character. I think Lizzie Kaplan thought she was in a romance film until she got the script. And she was like, "Oh, this is what I'm in. All right." The monster was created by Tippett Studios. And of course, they wanted to make it as lifelike as possible, a really biological creature. Some people say they were stealing from the host, but the Tippett Studios basically says we just had the same idea at the same time. Severed head of the Statue of Liberty was inspired by the poster for Escape from New York.
Hey, nice.
It was also created to be 50% larger than the actual Statue of Liberty head because apparently people think it's a lot bigger than it is, and they complained during the screening. They were like, this doesn't look right. There's a ton of Easter eggs for a lot of other J.J. Abrams content, like the Dharma Initiative logos here and there, and just all kinds of stuff. The one thing I did find pretty interesting, though, was the CG, the way it was created so effectively, was they did the thing where you walk around and you take photos and video of places, and then you do the green screen sets, and then you place the actual photos and video there, and then do a little bit of a CG layer just to sell it and give it texture. But that's why it looks so good. Like they did not film this in pretty much any of the places you see, which I was pretty impressed by because I was like, damn, they really locked off a lot of New York streets for this. It was shot in 34 days in LA under the fake title Slush. And Steven Spielberg also gave a few notes on it, which led to a change in the ending. Made a lot of people motion sick. Roger Ebert was pissed about that. He called it La Shakily Queasy Cam. And theater chains such as AMC posted posters basically saying, people, you might get motion sick. 104 people recordedly left theaters.
When I saw it, we didn't get posters. We actually had one of the ushers came in.
Oh, yeah.
And gave an introduction. So if you get sick and want to leave, just come to the box office. We'll give you your money back. Like,
yeah, apparently, like they were letting people know, just be prepared, you might puke, and like use your popcorn bags.
It was weird because it was an AMC or one of those huge ones. If I was at one of the small theaters, I'd expect that. But it's very weird to be in one of those big chains to have the usher walk in and say something like.
It must have been such a feedback, like to have to like go to that extent. You all know that there's a lot of Cloverfield editions after this. So starting with 10 Cloverfield Lane, which turns out actually was always meant to be a Cloverfield film. the director and the lead actress, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, both confirmed that it was in fact always Cloverfield. It is called the Cloververse. The 2016 film was hinted at initially as being like a sequel, and it was called The God Particle, but then sort of rolled into something else for Netflix. I mean, it is a Cloverfield film, but we all know it sucks, and it's not really the sequel people wanted. It played directly. I love their marketing campaign. Basically, during the Super Bowl, they were like, "Yeah, it's going to play right after. So if you guys want to just watch this, it's here." It's like, "Oh, okay." Most recently, in April 2018, Abrams hinted at a true Cloverfield sequel. In January 2021, it was announced that Joe Barton would write the new Cloverfield film. So we'll see. Who knows?
I believe that I had heard that when they bought the script for A Quiet Place, that they were thinking of turning that into a Cloverfield movie.
Interesting.
Oh, weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't, but I can see how that would have happened. Because those monsters could probably be pretty much anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I dislike this movie.
I'm not surprised.
For a couple of reasons. The main one being that it really, Blair Witch didn't seem to set off a ton of found footage films, but this movie did.
Yeah.
And I just hate found footage films.
Fair. I mean, I like this one because it draws me into a world that I really am excited to see the lens through. But yeah, found footage films can be nightmare fuel.
And the premise is just ridiculous. Especially, it starts off that it's evidence.
Oh, right.
So
in the 3-act structure.
So yeah, they're like, "Bob, did you get that Cloverfield evidence?" And he's like, hold on. I've got a really strong inciting incident here. The mid-act 2 twist is super strong. I feel like the third act needs a little something, but there's a love story that I'm going to weave in here, so maybe you guys will really love it. And his boss is like, "We just want that evidence, Bob. You cut out everything except for the shots of the creature. That's what the 5-star generals are asking for."
Yeah.
But don't they want to be entertained too? I mean, come on.
They don't really have 90 minutes to watch this stuff, Bob. So the 14 minutes of the creature is all they really need.
I just figured it was the raw footage. Like they slapped the thing on the front, and maybe Bob is watching it alongside us. Maybe we're watching it as he watches it. The editing hasn't happened yet.
Bud was editing in camera.
Well, no, that's the idea. Like there is no editing. So they're fast forwarding and rewinding through the tape, and that's why you get previous moments. Yeah. I'm just telling you. I like various times it was an accident. And then like you see little clips of stuff and you're like, what the fuck? Okay.
Was this ever really an invasion movie? I've got the feeling that the creature was kind of like a child accidentally bumbling through the city.
Yes. And that was the idea of it. However, I think invasion works considering the weird things that the monster was shedding off seemed to be invading and burrowing and going underground and like eating people and making them explode and all that kind of stuff. So if the big creature wasn't invading, I think the little ones sure were.
I'm going to disqualify you for this round. And what is your other film?
Your own subject.
The Tomorrow War. All right. Let's get going
Start
on
again.
Eric, did you watch a good movie?
Oh my God.
Yes, I did. Before I start that, I kind of sat in the middle with this one where I watched it in theater, kind of enjoyed it, but I've never watched it again.
Yeah, I think this was the third time maybe I've seen it. Like I watched it in theater and I think I watched it once since. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel watching it. And I was really happy I still liked it.
Well, that's good. Yes, I watched one of those, you've got that list of maybe 10 movies that I should watch this. And, here's this new movie. I'm going to watch this instead. Well, I finally watched one of those. 1955, which is important because, man, there's a lot of versions of this title out there. The Quatermass Experiment, a.k.a. The Creeping Unknown.
You can't escape it. Maggie, look! Nothing can destroy it. It's coming for you from space to wipe all living things from the face of the earth. Beware of the Creeping Unknown. This woman is about to learn a terrible secret. She will never be the same again. Because this man knows that same secret, he will never speak again. To both of them has come terror in the form of the creeping unknown. Three men went into outer space. Only one of them came back. Came back a strange, distorted creature, haunted and possessed by something beyond human understanding. What was the terrible secret he could not tell them?
There's a whole new world out there, a wilderness, uncharted. And he's been there and come back. He's got the map. Unlock his mind for me, Briscoe, and find it. I know you can do it.
It isn't just a
I know
question
the strain and tension you've been under, but to stop now when we're so close.
Brian Donlevy. He dared an experiment that shocked a nation.
You've destroyed him like you've destroyed everything else you've touched, Kent.
There's no room for personal feelings in science, Judith.
An experiment that created the creeping unknown.
I want to call around the entire area, evacuate all public, get information to check up every movement that's likely to take place inside this radius tonight.
Yes, sir. Warn everyone not to touch anything unusual they may find in the streets.
Ooh, the creeping unknown.
I like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that was its, I believe the name. When was that released? Anyways, maybe it's in my notes. But 1955, I think you could probably find this on YouTube. It's not available almost anywhere.
Oh.
But I found happily a discounted Kino Lorber, however you say the last name, Blu-ray of it. So I said, screw it, I'm ordering it.
Cool.
And glad I did. The Rotten Tomatoes on this is very bizarre. It's 93 critics, 67 from the crowd. It's not, 67's good, but it's such a drop off from
I
the
mean,
critics. It's like,
talk
whoa.
about critically acclaimed. Like, if you're smart, you're gonna like this movie or think you're smart.
The budget lists at £45,000. I don't know. I couldn't really find any box office. I do know it was very successful for Hammer. It was actually Hammer's first truly successful film. At least-
How many kilograms is that, Vanessa?
I was like, wait, dollars to kilograms. Hold on.
Cool if you pull that off. Directed by Val Guest, who directed The Day the Earth Caught Fire. Which one of you did? Did you talk about this one on whatever?
No,
past
I did
episodes?
When Worlds Collide.
Oh, okay.
I thought you did The Day the Earth
Did
Caught
I?
Fire.
Maybe
Yeah.
I did.
Jesus.
And
Wow.
We're all professionals here.
I was looking at our list the other day. We've done over 400 movies on our.
Do you think we'll ever run out?
No.
Okay. That's good.
1967's Casino Royale, Espresso Bongo, and Family Affair.
Yeah.
Written by Richard Landau, who wrote The Black Hole, Nostradamus Says So, and Frankenstein 1970, with lots of TV. Val Guest, the director, also was involved in the writing, and he wrote a lot of the stuff he directed. And Nigel Neal from TV show. He was the original. Quatermass started as a book, TV show, radio play, I think. I mean, this has been told so many different ways. Nigel was involved in the television version. Starring Brian Donlevy, who was in 13 Hours by Air, 36 Hours to Kill, Girl in Room 13, 122 credits. He's done a lot of work. Also, Jack Warner, who was in Jigsaw, Tonight at 8:30.
What?
And a version of A Christmas Carol, one I haven't seen. Margia Dean, 7 Women from Hell. Pierce, 23. Leave It to the Mariners. Okay, sure.
That sounds great.
Thora Hard, who is in Me, I'm Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh my God. Now I know.
Yes.
Now I know exactly who it is.
Stage 2, Don't Blame the Stork, and 133 other credits.
Very nice.
So, a good group of folks here. Movie starts out kind of with a group of overly giggly, You know, a lot of people complain about how teens don't look their age nowadays. 1955, teens looked much older.
All those guys, all those 15-year-old school kids had receding hairlines.
It's very strange.
But so they're out chasing each other around and witness something falling from the sky. This is an incredibly well done scene. This movie starts off with a great bang with them running from whatever's falling from the sky into a house, and it hits and the house gets really messed up. It's just a really well done introduction to whatever's going on. You go outside and it's a rocket ship. If you think 1955 rocket ship, what does it look like? It looks like this. It is perfect. It looks epic and wonderful right from the start, so that's really cool. The fun comparison of the technology of the rocket and the little firefighter wagon that shows up. Eventually a better one shows up, but the first one showing up to put out the fire or cool down the rocket is like, had that one for 40, 50 years. But apparently the rocket was sent up by, us, the British, I guess, in this case, actually, and has 3 astronauts. Well, now it has 1. The only surviving astronaut seems to have some problems going on, and they're not quite sure what's up with him. So they take him out and notice there are strange little skin changes. His heart is different. His facial structure is a little off. And his fingerprints are completely impossible to read. They also find a strange goo in the ship. Quatermass is a character. He's not, it's called the Quatermass experiment because it's his experiment. And he is the U.S. higher concession. At the time, Hammer wanted to put Americans in the movie occasionally. And this was their guy for that. And he's great. Part of why he works really well is he has a deadpan, straightforward delivery. This is the kind of guy that just, this is what it is. Let's move on. And he creates a nice grounding for a pretty weird, strange story. They find the version of the black box, which is destroyed, but somehow the film is fine. Okay. They watch that, and of course it really doesn't show them anything. It's neat to watch. It's really well shot. It's creepy. It's got a nice little uncomfortable tone in the way it's shot. Well, they have to cut the wife out because she's interfering with their ability to treat her husband. So she hires a private detective to go in and steal her husband from the experiment that's going on in the hospital. It's probably not a good idea. But it didn't go real well for the detective and stuff, but the effects are well done, and you start to get a real taste of, okay, there's something strange going on with this guy. There's a lot of, it's exposition. It's a 50s movie, so they do explain a lot of the stuff that's going on, but they do a good job of showing it. It has a really well done, and yet another example of how incredibly brilliant the original Frankenstein was, because there's yet another Frankenstein-style moment where this astronaut is wandering out, lost, runs into a little girl playing in a really weird location, but she's out there playing, having tea with her little dolly, runs into the scary man. But she wasn't scared at all. She seems to be perfectly fine with him. And then there's a zoo scene, has a nice reminiscence to Val Lewton in the way it's shot. But they show stuff, which Val Lewton did not. Yeah. Rough time for animals in the 50s in the zoo. Those are not nice cages. There's a bunch of concrete and some bars, but they react very obviously violently to this astronaut's presence. Part of what makes this movie so good is the overall story is really interesting. But the moments, there are the Frankenstein style with the little girl, and then there's Rosie does a police report, and her explanation of what she saw and trying to explain to the police what she saw is so much fun. And she is really good. It's a neat little moment that improves the overall quality of the film, even though it is kind of just a explaining what's going on scene. And boy, You think after the experiment they had with one of the mice, where they put some of the whatever they're investigating goo in with one mice and it consumed it and transformed into a giant horrible thing that, they try to get it away from stuff. Which kind of leads to the ending, which this isn't a movie that's got a twist. To call it a spoiler ending is just ridiculous because it goes A to B exactly where you want it to go. But what it does so well, and why this gets pulled sometimes into Lovecraftian style film, is that creature is amazing. The creature at the end is so well done. It's a little weird to watch because Kino did an amazing remastering of the film. It looks fantastic. But you can see where they shot something else and sort of melded it with the church they were in. Because any place somebody walks, when they're walking in and out of the church, there's this little very obvious square where it's a little off. It's a little fuzzier. It's a little grainier than the clear picture of the church around. It's like, well, sometimes cleaning up doesn't help.
Right.
And it does make the creatures shown. It's shown a lot. Apparently they use tripe to make it.
Oh.
It's like,
man.
Whoa.
That must have smelled great.
Oh, God, I can't imagine. And so it all leads up to a great ending. And it does something maybe not as done much then as it was, especially in the 80s, where it's like, well, we're setting up for the sequel.
Right.
But in the context of the movie, it feels very like, really? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Quatermass? Come back. So, yeah, this is a great film. Holy shit, man. I definitely, and you said the sequel is probably the best?
I think Quatermass in the Pit is the best of the bunch.
Nice.
But I like all of them.
Did you see the remake? Like the 20-something remake? Is like a made-for-TV movie?
I've not even heard of it.
Okay. Well, this one was Hammer Films, based on the 1953 BBC television serial. It wasn't a series, technically. It was like a 6-episode miniseries, or whatever they called it at that time. But it was a huge success. Audience and critics loved the show. Film historian Robert Simpson described it as event television that emptied the streets and the pubs.
Wow.
So it was a huge hit.
Wow.
The first adaptation by Hammer of a TV show. It was also their first big hit. It was one of the movies that really launched them to becoming what Hammer became. It's kind of an unusual, if you watch a lot of 50s movies, it's kind of shot in a different style. The director wanted it to be more documentary style, so there's a lot more handheld stuff than you'd usually see in films of this time. Pretty common done now, but at the time it was fairly unique. Achieved in notoriety stateside when in 1956, the parents of Stuart Cohen attempted to sue the Lake Theater and distributor for negligence after their 9-year-old son died of a ruptured artery in the cinema lobby.
Oh my
Whoa.
God.
What?
Ruptured artery?
Yep.
How do you, what?
Horrifying.
Trying to say that it was, the movie scared him to death.
Oh my God.
For some reason, the Guinness Book of Records does qualify this as the only case of someone dying of fright at a horror film.
Oh, okay. So, silver lining to this whole story.
I was going to say, they
There you
can
go.
put that all over the posters.
Yeah,
That's money in the bank for them.
Val Guest reworked the original story draft quite a bit, partially because of changing Quatermass to an American actor and making him a military base and things. So they had to alter the dialogue to fit who he became. Several reservations adapting the tale, considered as well directed and pared down. Nigel did not like the use of Brian Donnelly in the lead. He wanted somebody else. He thought he was too stoic and unsympathetic, which he was. I mean, you don't have any warm and fuzzies for Quatermass. He's just what he is. So he's not thrilled with it. Actually, I think read somewhere Nigel's pretty much only liked the original TV show version. He hasn't really liked anything done since then. The name Victor Caron was used with a spelling with an E in Stephen King's short story, The Jaunt.
Oh, interesting.
The Quatermass experiment was changed to an X for the beginning because it was the first British release to receive what at the time was called an X rating, which was nothing compared to what X later became in the US and stuff. It was just a adults only certificate used in Britain. And it was the first one, and they were so excited about it, they changed the name of the movie. It also was distributed in the US under the title Shock with an exclamation point.
Nice.
Ooh.
That was the film's original working title. The Kino Lorber Blu-ray contains an interview with John Carpenter, who apparently is a massive, massive fan. Loves the film. Says one of those ones he read about when he was a little kid, but since he lived in the middle of nowhere, he couldn't see it. So it built up, and he was finally able to see it when he was still relatively young, and it was everything he'd hoped it'd be. So he really loves it. Yeah, in 2005, it was made in a made-for-TV movie that didn't do well.
Made for TV over here or over
I
there?
didn't say. The one I saw, what I read didn't say. I'm guessing British from the way it looked. When it was put together, he died not too long ago, but very British. He is a slender, older guy sitting up incredibly straight with a ascot, a pinky ring, and a hell of an accent.
Oh my God. So good.
This guy's cool. And apparently, I haven't listened to it yet, but he does an audio commentary for this release.
Beautiful.
That was an invasion movie of plant creatures, one of the first, considered by many to be the first fungus among us kind of invasion movie.
Interesting.
Which Invasion of the Body Snatchers super popularized.
Yeah, I can't remember when. Is it Day of the Triffids? Is one of the other plant
style,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
That's
Ruins you talked about last week would go into that.
That makes me really
category.
want to watch this movie again. But what it really makes me want to do is watch Quatermass in the Pit.
Yeah, I need to check that one out.
Okay.
What did you have, sir?
Well, you said invasion films, and I took that to heart.
Okay.
From
Good.
2011, I chose Battle Los Angeles. Also known as World Invasion, Battle Los Angeles, also known as Battle, LA.
I wonder if we could do an entire day on just films that have the word invasion in them.
Probably.
This had a budget of $70 million and a box office of about $212 million worldwide. The critics on Rotten Tomatoes give this 36%.
Oof.
The audience,
Really?
48%. Directed by Jonathan Liebsman, who directed Darkness Falls, Wrath of the Titans, the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. And it was written by Christopher Bertolini, who has only done a couple of other things, but one of them was The General's Daughter, which I remember being quite a big film, and then something called Madso's War, which I never heard of. It stars Aaron Eckhart, who is a really good actor who makes very poor decisions. He was in The Dark Knight, which was a very good decision. And then the Olympus Has Fallen movies, I Frankenstein. And he's somebody who just has not gotten the right breaks. I really like him. It also stars Michelle Rodriguez, an actor I do not like, who keeps making excellent decisions, apparently, because she continues to work. She was in Girl Fight, Resident Evil, the Fast and the Furious franchise. Bridget Moynihan is in this. She was in iRobot, Lord of War, John Wick, and John Wick 2. And Michael Pena, who is the best part of the Ant-Man movies.
Yeah, he is.
So this movie starts off and we meet Staff Sergeant Michael Nance on his last day in the military. He's jogging on a beach, getting passed up by a bunch of young soldiers, and he's exhausted. He's going into his superior officer's office, and they're having a little toast on his career and all this stuff. But at the very same time, a number of apparent meteors are landing in the world's oceans, and very quickly we learn that the objects prove to be spacecraft containing hostile extraterrestrials. As Los Angeles is being evacuated, Nance is told that his retirement is being postponed.
What?
Because everybody in the military is being assigned to various platoons, and they are going to be going out to battle.
Los Angeles.
all over the world. The fact that he is assigned to a specific platoon rubs a couple of the soldiers the wrong way, because we find out that Nance was in command of a platoon in Iraq, and he was responsible for the deaths of many of those young soldiers. This is something that has worn on him since that, and it is super obvious that his cave and elixir scene at the end of Act 2 is going to have to be dealing with the guilt and personal demons of those actions. As his platoon is getting ready to be shipped out, they're getting the big speech that happens in every military movie. And there is a big deal in this speech made of the fact that the alien ground forces have no air support, and that the Air Force is going to carpet bomb Santa Monica. There is a small number of survivors in a police station that his platoon is being told, your job is to get these survivors out of there before we carpet bomb Santa Monica. So they start going through, and as they advance through LA, they are ambushed by the aliens. They get some pretty severe casualties. And there's a pretty great scene of them fighting off when we get our first real glimpse of what the aliens look like. There's a scene in a swimming pool that they end up having to battle an alien. It's pretty cool. And this starts playing out as a war movie that just happens to have aliens in it. And it's shot really well. I mean, quite honestly, I think this might be the best World War II movie ever made. It just happens to take place in 2011 in Los Angeles, and they're fighting aliens. Because it just looks so cool, and it looks like Saving Private Ryan. I mean, it's really solid war movie.
Wow.
They finally get to the police station, and at the police station, they find the civilians, and a helicopter arrives to evacuate the wounded Marines. But it cannot take on the weight of the survivors. So Nance and his crew, who have been tasked to help these guys evacuate, they're still on their own. The helicopter takes off with the wounded Marines in it, and these are all Marines we've kind of gotten to know during the movie, and we're like, oh, good, I'm glad they're getting away. But guess what, you guys? Alien air units show up and destroy the helicopter as it's lifting off, killing everyone on board.
Always.
Remember how the aliens didn't have air supply? Or air support?
Supply. They're all out of love.
What are they without you?
Oh my God.
So the Marines then command an abandoned transit bus for the evacuation. And en route, they decide that, or they deduce that the alien air units are drones that target human radio transmissions. So the reason all these guys are able to get our soldiers so easily is because we're talking back and forth on our radios, and they lock right in on that and start killing all the human soldiers. So their mission, then they take on this mission to locate the aliens' command and control center, with the idea that destroying that would knock out all the drones. They still have all these survivors with them too. So they're like taking on all of this stuff because LA is about to be carpet bombed. So they got to get all this shit going on, and they've got minutes left to do it. There is a series of small skirmishes that feel very much like you're just a news team behind a platoon of soldiers as they're going into a war-torn city and all this stuff. So you're following behind. It's got a very found footage, but more documentary feel. A lot of shaky cam and all this stuff. I don't know if I get into it in my trivia, but this was supposed to be a 3D movie at first. But the director, when he realized how he wanted to do it, he was like, "Are you kidding? Everyone will hate us if we try and make a shaky cam 3D movie."
Absolutely. Don't do it.
The bus ends up being destroyed, and Nance, who was just a staff sergeant, he finds himself in command of the surviving platoon members. And so this is where he's going to have to come to grips with the fact that he ended up killing a bunch of young soldiers and all that stuff. Do you think that he'll do it?
Ooh.
Let's see. Big budget Hollywood movie. The odds are looking good.
Yes. And he also has sworn that he's going to get these survivors out of Santa Monica before the carpet bombing happens. But guess what? The carpet bombing never happens.
Oh.
They reach the evacuation point finally, and they find that it is destroyed, and the U.S. military is evacuating themselves. They are retreating. There's no way that we can fight these aliens off. So he has to get them to a different extraction point. And there's some more drama. There's some more skirmishes. There's a lot of Nance dealing with his guilt, but he finally does get the survivors out. Feels pretty good about it. They're able to kind of figure out what's going on with the drones and stuff like that. I won't go into the entire climax, but I did love the ending of this, where the remaining Marines, there's only 6 left, they are evacuated themselves to a base where they are greeted as heroes and told they can now rest. Good job, soldiers. But instead, they rearm and join the platoons that are leaving to go and take back Los Angeles.
Oh.
So it's very rah, and you got to be kind of into these kind of war movies and shit to get into this, but just so happens that I am.
Sure.
Sounds awesome.
A little bit of trivia. Aaron Eckhart broke his arm while filming a stunt and did not miss a day of work.
Oh, whoa.
I just love this guy. I love this guy as an actor. I love this guy as a person. I've seen him on interviews and Howard Stern and stuff. He's just very likable and down to earth. And the interview I remember most was for I, Frankenstein. And Howard was like, "So have you seen the movie?" And he was like, "Yeah." He goes, "And you like it?" He goes, "Yeah." And it was very clearly I'm not allowed to say what I really think of it. I'm here to promote it.
It doesn't matter what I think. It matters that you go and see it.
Right. Very little of the film was actually shot in Los Angeles. Tax incentives brought the production to Louisiana, where sets of Los Angeles streets were constructed.
Wow.
It was cheaper to build a big city than to shoot in the big city.
Wow.
Shane Black did uncredited work on the final script.
Oh, wow.
And then this is a little interesting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the actual Battle of Los Angeles. It happened during World War II.
Mm-mm.
It was a one-night thing.
Yeah.
The film's story was partly inspired by the Battle of Los Angeles, a rumored enemy attack and subsequent anti-aircraft artillery barrage that took place in Los Angeles during World War II on the night of February 24th, 1942. Eyewitnesses and radar data reported an unknown aerial craft over the Los Angeles area on February 24th, leading to fears of a Japanese attack on the U.S. mainland. But a review of the incident found no proof of Japanese presence in the area and attributed the incident to an overreaction by U.S. military forces. In later years, UFO investigators speculated the aircraft spotted on the night was an extraterrestrial craft.
Ooh.
So this real incident was used as the main focus of an early teaser trailer to promote the film, in which it is very strongly implied that the alien invaders spent decades planning their attack and invasion after that night.
Oh, God. Now I'm going to be more freaked out about UFOs.
Finally, Sony investigated the possibility of legal action against the filmmakers Greg and Colin Strauss, who were hired to do visual effects work on Battle Los Angeles through their special effects company, Hydraulics. Sony suspected the Strauss brothers had created their own Los Angeles-based alien invasion film, Skyline, which would compete with Battle Los Angeles release by using resources they had gained while working on the film. A spokesman for the Strausses responded by saying, any claims of impropriety are completely baseless. This is a blatant attempt by Sony to force these independent filmmakers to move a release date that has long been set by Universal and is outside the filmmakers' control. So they jumped ship to work on Skyline, and then Universal decided to release Skyline on the same day that Battle Los Angeles was going on. And if you've seen Skyline, it's a very similar looking movie.
Yeah. In fact, when you suggested this film, I just, in my head, thought it was Skyline.
Skyline is not a very good movie.
That's what I heard. That's why I was surprised. I was like, all right.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, this is not a very good movie either. So.
I remember that one was a big budget fail.
Skyline?
No, that one. Battle of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I didn't see this until just recently, maybe 2 years ago or something, when it popped up on Netflix, and I was like, "What? Why did everybody hate this movie?" It's definitely not. It's treated as a very serious war movie, and so maybe what audiences want is something with a little bit of humor or something like this. But this feels very much like a bunch of soldiers talking and getting shit done. So it might just be. It's not a fun movie.
Yeah, it was. I think that when you mentioned something about looking like Saving Private Ryan, my first thought was, I wonder if it failed because it was released as a summer tentpole, fun get together watch movie, and doesn't sound like it is.
It's not really. It feels very much like exactly what would happen if we were being invaded and you were following a platoon of soldiers.
Wow.
But I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, so. Good choice, Vanessa. I like Invasion, and I feel like we could do this. We could do a month of Invasion.
Oh, no
movies.
kidding. Yeah, it definitely is something we can come back around to.
And so my subgenre pick is Invasion for next week.
Right, sure. Get those evergreen titles going. Haunted houses, invasions, found footage films. Hey?
No, so it is my choice for next week, and I thought I would do something fun here that we're either going to love or hate, and that is movies that have an animal in the title.
So like Grizzly or Rats.
Grizzly works. Jaws, which is about a shark, does not have the shark in the title. But Two-Headed Shark Attack, that has shark in it. And so that makes the movie worth
what if it's
oh my god.
What if it's like Sharktopus or something like
that's got two animals in the title, and it totally qualifies.
Because it's not a real creature.
In fact, I would say that if you want to do The Last Dragon, a dragon is an animal. It's not a real animal, but it is an animal in the title. So I will allow it.
I have a lot of bad movies I've been meaning to watch that have animal names in the title.
There are so many.
They're ready.
Is Night of the Lepus one of them?
I have seen Night of the Lepus, and that is a film.
The Lepus is an animal.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if I want to sit through that again.
Day of the Condor, which has nothing to do with condors, but has a condor in the title, then I will allow that. So
wow.
We are wide open.
This has a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Nice. I also want to just, before we finish here.
We have action.
Yeah,
we have
that's
movement.
right.
Oh my God.
This is what we want video.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, they look good. Nice. Are they comfy?
They are super comfy.
Yeah, they're very good.
That's good.
I'm wearing my Strange Eons underwear, and now everybody knows it. And that will be available on the Etsy site very soon.
Yeah, once Etsy stops closing us down for some reason.
Yeah, I really need Etsy to come back and let us sell things because I need to order some shirts. So
you mean some underwear?
I don't think those will look as good on me as they look on you guys. I don't think they're built.
I'm going to take that as a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, take it. Absolutely.
I should have turned around and mooned you because it says Strange Eons Radio all over the ass.
That's so good.
I want to figure out more ways that we can do that more things we can do that all over look for because it looks so It has an all-over print.
I tell you what, I will promise you, if you guys come to our live showing of, or a live recording of Strange Aeons Radio at Crypticon in just a couple of weeks, I'm going to show the audience my underwear.
Oh my God.
And they were never invited back.
We are all escorted from Crypticon.
Oh, man. Big thanks to everybody who's participating in the Value for Value model and who's just reaching out and, making me feel good about everything. Chris Grassi is always sending me every little trivia thing he finds about Jaws. Bob is always liking and sharing posts and saving stuff. Obviously, Ron Forbeck is there. As soon as we drop anything, he's sharing that. And Danny and just everybody who's out there.
Danny and Ryan continue to compete on who shares first.
Right. It's so nice. I feel like, we've built up a nice family of listeners here, and I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if any of you end up seeing us at Crypticon, come say hey.
Yeah.
From a socially distanced amount.
That's right.
From 6 feet. From 6 feet.
That's right. I wholeheartedly agree, as long as you make it short and don't want to really talk for very long.
I will happily talk.
So is that it, right, guys? Anything else we need to talk about, Eric?
Not that I know of.
Okay, let's come back here, right here at this table 1 week from today, and we will talk about movies that have animal names in the title.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Morgret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Aeons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.
Fuck, it is mayhem.